This morning on Sunrise, the Jefferson County School Board votes on a transportation plan, but now they say they have to figure out start times before they can start working on the plan. What JCPS leaders have to say. New numbers out this morning showing the number of deadly crashes in the Commonwealth now at a new 8-year high, the contributing factors ahead on Sunrise. And firefighters in Jefferson County say they've seen an increase in vacant properties catching fire. Now they're going to come up with a new program to help deal with that issue. More on that coming up this morning.
Now, Wade News Sunrise.
Good morning, 6 a.m. here on this Wednesday, and we do have some rain coming down, but later today it's going to be all about the wind.
The wind and the warmer weather. And for anybody wondering, the alert day that we did have for today, that has been dropped because our severe threat and even our rain chances for the afternoon have significantly dropped. So I want to make sure I clarify that because I've had a couple of questions about it on social media. But what we're seeing right now on our SkyTrack camera, looking from downtown Louisville towards the bridges, that rain coming down. So grab the rain gear for this morning as we're seeing more of these showers and thunderstorms pushing through our region. Mainly light to moderate rain from Madison to Scottsburg to Charlestown and over towards Corydon as well. In the metro, this is where the rain is a little bit heavier, right along 265 near New Albany. And also for those of you closer to downtown in the Portland neighborhood through the Highlands into the Hillview area and over into Valley Station, getting more of that heavy rain. Some more heavy rain right along 71 in Oldham County. So from Crestwood to LaGrange, you're getting in on that. And a lonely downpour showing up near Goshen. Some more moderate to heavier showers from Frankfort to Shelbyville into Bullitt County, and some light rain from Taylorsville over into Springfield. Now some more of that heavier rain stretches from the metro down through the western portions of Bullitt County, through Radcliffe, west of E-Town, and all the way towards Millerstown and Litchfield. As we head over the next 12 hours, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the rain chances. So those will drop off as we head into the next hour to 2 hours. We'll watch more of that rain moving out. But we could see an isolated downpour for later on this afternoon. However, most of us just going to be on the sunnier side and dry. Temperatures right now in the 60s, but we'll easily climb into the 80s for your highs this afternoon. So another warm day on tap, feeling a lot more like summer. Dealing with some of these wind gusts in the 15 to 25 mile per hour range right now. But as we get into the afternoon and evening, that wind really picking up with some of these gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour. So if it's trash day, just keep that wind in mind. And the wind, not great for anybody who has any allergies either over the next couple of days. We do have a marginal risk of severe weather out for today, mainly in case we have one of those isolated thunderstorms, but really watching Thursday night into Friday morning for the potential for more strong storms coming our way. Olivia.
And Tawana, you've mentioned that rain this morning. We can see all the wet roads out there, especially there on our Kentucky-Indiana bridges and 65 at Arthur Street. I don't know what's going on at I-64 at the junction, but it looks like probably just a wet camera there. We can see a little bit of glare, but other than that, no issues out there on the roads. Just one stalled vehicle there on 71 near the Gene Snyder ramp. So as you're looping around that, just be aware of that on the shoulder there. But everything looking all clear this morning. Shannon.
Thanks, Olivia. New developments in the JCPS transportation saga. Superintendent Marty Pollio now says the district has to set school start times before a transportation plan for next school year can be finalized. Pollio says his goal is to get a proposal for start times to school board members by the next school board meeting, which is scheduled for May 28th. The district is moving forward with its plan to cut bus routes to many magnet and traditional schools. Pollio says transportation leaders are planning out as many bus routes as they can, but creating official school start times is the next step the district must take.
There is no doubt we still have start times that we have to establish. Now we're going to work to minimize those start time changes and so hopefully take a lot of that off, but we've got to work to do that where it doesn't greatly increase the amount of routes. If we do that, then it doesn't help us any.
Right now, JCPS has nearly 10 different start times for schools. And we're learning more about the budget issues facing Louisville's public transportation. TARC's 2025 budget proposal will save them millions of dollars, but it could cause layoffs. Mayor Craig Greenberg suggests the surplus of drivers can be used to combat JCPS's lack of drivers. TARC's proposed plan would have fewer scheduled buses every hour, also less frequent service during the week. The new schedule will also not affect TARC's busiest routes, which include the number 4, 4th Street, number 10, Dixie Rapid, number 23, Broadway, and number 28, Preston Highway. The agency says they're facing financial challenges, and if they keep running the way they are, they'll go broke by the year 2026. Financial records forecast a potential $30 million operational gap. Many who rely on TARC are worried about what it means for them.
It's not been a really good experience because the buses are delayed. And then, it makes me late for my appointments. It makes me late for my meetings. And if I look up buses for tomorrow, they're already saying it's delayed.
TARC says they will have more public conversations. The budget proposal has not been formally approved. A man's been charged now after police say he called them to say he'd been involved in a crash, and that crash left a woman who was riding her bike dead. Now that man is set to be in court. Police say Juan Munoz Alcala was the driver who hit and killed a woman on a bike off Preston Highway and Durrett Lane Tuesday morning. Arrest documents show Munoz Alcala called police saying he thought he hit a shopping cart at a nearby gas station, but police say he actually hit the woman, Jennifer Davis. He's set to be arraigned this morning on charges including murder, aggravated DUI, and wanton endangerment. Well, not just in Louisville, but across the state of Kentucky, deaths on highways are the highest they've been in 8 years. 813 people died after wrecks across state highways last year. That's 69 deaths more than 2022, and the highest number of traffic fatalities since 2016. State troopers say people are not wearing their seatbelts in more than half of last year's crashes. 16% involved alcohol, a third involved speeding or aggressive drivers, and nearly a quarter involved driver distraction.
You know, it's an astronomical number. I couldn't imagine, you know, they leave for work one day or they leave to go to the store, and then the next visit you get is from the coroner's office and a police officer.
Pedestrians and bicyclists accounted for 137 deaths, and motorcyclists accounted for 105. A new contract for LMPD officers will be discussed today by city officials. The mayor will be joined by FOP and LMPD representatives this morning, talking about the new collective bargaining agreements between the city and FOP. This week, leaders gathered feedback from the community on the deal, with support seeming split. The 4-year deal would increase pay across the department and create new accountability measures for officers to follow. Groups across the city are trying to step up and stop gun violence on the community level. Tonight, the Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods will discuss the work that they're doing to cut down on safety issues, especially in the Russell, California, and the Parkland neighborhoods. Presentations will include some trauma resources, intervention and prevention, and how they're getting children involved too in these reduction efforts. You do have to register to attend. It is free. It's from 6 to 8 at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage. We've reported on several instances of empty homes or properties going up in flames across Louisville this year. Fire officials have also spoken about these incidents and how it can impact public safety. Now, Louisville's fire department is announcing a new program to help. They're talking about a pilot program today that will address community concerns. Louisville Fire says it's a group effort to cut down on risk to public safety in these cases. They say it's not just about emergency response, but things like following proper safety codes and government responsibility. LFD says the program includes collaboration from several metro agencies. That'll be announced this afternoon at 1:15. We'll bring you the latest details when we get at them. Vacant and abandoned properties pose significant risk to public safety and health. A community still waiting for justice. 2 years after a 5-year-old boy was found dead and his body in a suitcase. A prayer service was held at Cairo Jordan's gravesite in Salem last night. It took investigators months to identify the 5-year-old after his body was found in that suitcase dumped in the woods in Washington County, Indiana. Police say Kyra Jordan's mother, Dejon Anderson, killed him. She's awaiting trial now after being on the run for nearly 2 years.
It's not right what this baby went through. I can't imagine. And a friend of ours today had the right answer. I think they should put that baby's picture in her cell, paint it on the wall, make her look at it every day.
Another woman, Dawn Coleman, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder in Kyra's death. She was sentenced to 30 years with 25 to serve. As for the mother, the judge overseeing that murder trial says he will rule on a motion Anderson made to fire her public defender once a psychiatric examination has been completed. During her first court appearance, she asked to represent herself, claiming, among other things, she was under government surveillance by the National Security Agency and the U.S. Space Force. It's 6:10. Here is Tawana, and we have a lot of changes over the next 12 hours today.
Yeah, we're talking more of that warmth coming our way, getting windy once we head into later on this afternoon. And we're going to keep an eye on an isolated thunderstorm chance for the second half of the day, nothing compared to what we're dealing with right now. Now, once we get into Thursday night and Friday, this is when we see a much better chance for more of those showers and thunderstorms coming back our way. I'll break down those chances after the break.
Thanks, Tawana. Well, if you want to try out some new food in one of Louisville's great neighborhoods, this might be your event to go to. Eat, Drink, Germantown. And Josh Ninke is there live this morning, showing off what you can expect.
Now, Wave News.
There's a special event kicking off tomorrow highlighting some of the terrific cuisine in one of Louisville's neighborhoods, Germantown. They're calling this Eat, Drink, Germantown, and Josh Ninke has been trying out some of the great things. He's live this morning at the Bean with more. Josh, and you feeling good? I know you had that caffeine drink.
Oh, I got a good boost from that cold brew from the Bean earlier. Yeah, feeling fantastic. Some more of the great stuff that you can check out at this event tomorrow is some beer as well. We've got Tom with Awry Brewing joining us here today.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to have for folks?
We're going to have 3 of our brews at the Germantown Fest. It's going to be Just Saying, our American Pills. We'll have the Hefe, a Hefeweizen that we've made, and then we'll have Girls of Las Vegas, which is a session pale ale.
Nice.
All very tasty.
Cool. And you also have something else, something I haven't mentioned. There's a cocktail competition going on between some of you guys named the Germantown Official Cocktail.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
We wanted to stay really simple yet elegant. We're going to make a Ferrari, which is just some Campari and Fernet in a shot. And keep it really simple and very Germantown.
Nice.
Yeah.
And something else I wanted to mention, you guys are one of the newer breweries on the scene, but you just won the Louisville Ale Trail March Madness beer bracket.
We sure did.
Yeah, so congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you. That was a big feat for us to be able to do that. We got nominated last minute, and our beer me made it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been by our place to try our beer yet, come by, try the beer me, try our 3 offerings we're going to bring over to Germantown. We'd love to see you.
And you got a great location over there on Barrett, and the rooftop on that building, is that open now?
The rooftop is open. It's ready for people to get up there and use it. Should be a good spot for the weekend.
And if you want a sample, a taste of what they have to offer, like I said, this is going on tomorrow. This is at Germantown Gables. If you haven't been by there, that's the event space that's there at Swan Street and East Kentucky. This is going on from 6 to 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Tickets are $45, but that $45 gets you a sample at each and every one of the different places that are going to be out there. So there'll be 20 plus different restaurants, breweries, all that kind of stuff. So you do not want to miss out on that. We'll have that link for tickets for you at wave3.com, but also you can just go up and at the door, pay your $45 and enjoy. Should be a lot of fun for the inaugural Eat, Drink, Germantown. Now, I want you to stick around because we've got one more to show you coming up here in the next half hour. So live here in Germantown, Josh Ninke, Wave News.
That sounds fun. All right, thank you so much. And you could have a full belly after going to so many places.
Yeah, that's something I need to think about as my stomach is starting to growl right now.
I have an almond. Do you want one?
Okay, thank you. For those of you heading heading out this morning, maybe grab a cup of coffee, something to get you going as we are dealing with some of this rain around the area. So a gloomy start to the day as we have a cold front off towards our west and a warm front sitting to our north. With this warm front to our north, we'll see that steady southerly and southwesterly flow across the region for today, and that is going to contribute to the warmer weather that we'll have in the forecast for this afternoon. What we're dealing with right now, though, some spotty showers still holding on in a couple of spots. Pretty light rain showing up in portions of Jefferson County in Indiana, and then the rain becomes a little bit heavier as you move into parts of Clark County, but still a bit more sporadic. And then in Floyd County, especially towards New Albany, pushing towards the Sellersburg area, some heavier downpours showing up there. Seeing those stretching through a good chunk of the metro from near downtown over towards Middletown and J-Town, and even down towards Mount Washington and Hillview, seeing some pockets of heavier rainfall indicated by the orange and yellow on your screen. So more of that heavy rainfall in portions of Oldham County and even now into Henry County, where we have one thunderstorm there. For those of you in Shelby and Franklin counties, the rain is lighter, but still seeing some pockets of heavy rain for you. Seeing much of the same stretching from portions of Spencer County through Bullitt County and all the way south into Hardin County. Looking at downtown Louisville, it looks a little bit hazy on the SkyTrack camera, and that is because of the rain that is currently coming down in downtown Louisville. The wind not doing a whole lot right now, seeing some of these wind gusts between 15 and 20 miles per hour across portions of our region. Once we head into later on this afternoon, the wind looks to pick up quite a bit, with some of these gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour, mainly coming out of the southwest through the afternoon hours. And then we'll watch for some more of that rain trying to pop later on this afternoon. But overall, afternoon rain chances looking very low compared to what we were seeing earlier this week. Your temperatures are sitting in the 60s in most spots, but a couple of locations a little bit warmer, 70 degrees in Munfordville and for those of you in Columbia. Our futurecast shows the rain that we're dealing with right now moving out through the 8 o'clock hour, leaving us drier through lunch with much more sunshine for later on today. Now, for most of us, we're going to be sunny and dry and windy for the afternoon. But if we're able to see really a isolated downpour, an isolated thunderstorm popping up for the second half of the day with all the warmth, the moisture, and the wind we have across the area, that storm can easily tap into that and become strong to severe. But overall, that rain chance looking pretty low, but still something that we'll have to watch. Any of those thunderstorms that do pop this afternoon will quickly fade after really sunset and will be drier towards midnight as we keep our skies clear. We do still have that marginal risk of severe weather out across the entire region, just in case we get one or two of those isolated thunderstorms with damaging winds and some hail as the main threats. For tonight, seeing clear skies as temperatures fall down into the 50s and the low 60s. Looking ahead to the next 10 days, here's what we have going on. A little bit more of that rain showing up for tomorrow. But here's the thing with that. Most of the day is actually going to be dry on your Thursday. It's not till after sunset that we really see those rain chances going all the way up. So for the majority of your Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds. And then here comes that cold front barreling towards us Thursday night into Friday morning, bringing more of that widespread rain, some thunderstorms across our region. All of this will quickly move out throughout your Friday morning. But for your Thursday night into Friday morning, all of us are outlooked with some threat of severe weather. Most of us underneath that marginal risk level 1 out of 5. But for those of you further to the west of 65, we do have that slight risk of severe weather with damaging winds and some hail as some of the main threats with that. Now, for the upcoming weekend, we'll watch for some clouds around and some really just mild temperatures on Saturday for those of you heading out and about for thunder over Louisville. And then for your Sunday, cooler with highs in the 50s and low 60s. Next week, overall trending relatively quiet with highs in the upper 60s and the low 70s.
Here's a look at the current Kentucky Lottery jackpots. The Kentucky Lottery, over $5 billion in grants and scholarships.
City leaders say people in Prospect should have any tornado debris placed by the curb if they want it taken away for free. Removal is expected to take up to 2 weeks. No schedule as to when crews will be picking up debris on any specific streets. That's why they're saying you need to have any debris at the curb just ready to be picked up. Emergency management leaders say 157 homes suffered damage when a tornado hit the area earlier this month. And the good news, if you're just waking up with us right now, we did have that alert day for today, but our weather team has now canceled that.
Yes, just because we are seeing less of a rain threat and overall less of a severe threat as we head into the afternoon. Now, we could still see an isolated thunderstorm, and with the environment that we have across the region, those could become strong. But for most of us, still just talking about some windy and warm and sunny conditions for the afternoon, and that's it. Now, Thursday night into Friday is a time frame that we're watching very closely because we'll see some more showers and thunderstorms then. Some of those also could be on the stronger side with some damaging winds going to be the main threat with that. Then we head into the weekend for thunder over Louisville on Saturday, looking fantastic with even warmer temperatures now trying to show up in the forecast. So we're talking 60s for highs on Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds across the area. Just have to keep an eye on how low those clouds are and how strong the wind is on Saturday. Cooler into Sunday with highs only near 60 degrees, but we'll climb back into those 60s and 70s for highs once we get through next week.
Thanks, Tawana. Breaking overnight, former U.S. Senator and Florida Governor Bob Graham has died at the age of 87. Olivia Russell has more about his work in this Wave News Alert.
Yeah, Shannon, his family announced his death late last night on social media. His family released a statement saying they are deeply saddened to report the passing of a visionary leader and that they will never forget the love he had for them, the state of Florida, the United States, and the world. Graham spent close to 4 decades in public service representing Florida, first serving in the state legislature and then in the governor's mansion before going to Washington as a U.S. senator. He also chaired the Intelligence Committee following the 2001 terrorist attacks. Graham also made a run for the White House in 2004, but bowed out of that race, saying that his campaign lacked sufficient funds. Shannon.
Thanks, Olivia. Scott County Council meeting had some very tense moments, and it all involves 3 police vehicles. We'll tell you what led to this meeting that sparked so much emotion coming up on Wave News Sunrise.
Now, Wave News Sunrise.
Good Wednesday morning to you. Thanks so much for waking up with us here. I'm Shannon Kogan alongside meteorologist Tawana Andrew. And you may have heard that rain overnight, and some of you could still have it for a little bit more this morning.
Yeah, we're watching the rain now moving out. So it's mainly a Kentucky issue. Indiana already starting to dry out. So here we go. Going to be watching that rain just scooting on out of here this morning. Looking at downtown Louisville, drier than what we were seeing just 20 minutes ago. So that's certainly a good thing to keep an eye on for this morning. And here's the radar. You can see all of that rain just rolling on through for early this morning, but we're also watching the rain now rolling on out of southern Indiana. Some spotty showers from near Madison all the way down towards Charlestown. Everything in Indiana right now very light, even drying out across the metro, but we're still seeing some pockets of heavy rain. All that yellow showing up from Goshen to Crestwood to Middletown all the way into Hillview and Mount Washington. For those of you from Bedford south into Shelbyville, seeing some pockets of heavy rain, and this does stretch through Spencer County into the eastern portions of Hardin County and down into LaRue County as well. At the moment in Louisville, we're seeing a wind gust of 25 miles per hour. Once we get into later on this morning and into the afternoon, some of these gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour. So just put that hair in an updo or just be fully prepared to use that entire can of hairspray for today. What we're seeing temperature-wise sitting mainly in the 60s, a little bit warmer for those of you further to the south. 70 degrees right now in Mumfordville and into Columbia. Everybody climbing into the 80s for your highs this afternoon as we deal with some drier conditions and highs in those 80s with, of course, the strong wind across the area. The one thing that we'll have to watch for the afternoon, while most of us stay dry, will be that isolated thunderstorm chance. If anything does pop this afternoon, it could easily become strong, but most of us will be dry. Now, with all of the wind in the forecast, I have to mention this. We are going to keep pollen counts very high across the region for today, tomorrow, into Friday. And we're talking tree pollen, grasses, weeds, all going to be an issue over the next couple of days. So if you're extra sniffly, maybe you're stuffy, this may be why. Yeah, that pollen, no joke over the next couple of days.
And I was hoping some of that rain this morning would wash that out, but nope, here we are dealing with those allergies and that rain creating a few slick spots out there. So it looks like some spots have slowed down just a little bit, but good news here, no crashes there in the metro. But I do want to take you down to Bullitt County, where it looks like we have some pretty significant delays here on 65 northbound. Those backups going all the way down to Lebanon Junction, so be aware of that if you're coming into Louisville from Bullitt County this morning. Shannon.
Thanks, Olivia. Some tense moments at a Scott County Council meeting Tuesday as the sheriff fought to keep Ford from repossessing 3 patrol cars. The county council fighting back, though, saying they were never told about the expense. Last week, Sheriff Jerry Gooden addressed how he's been getting collection calls from Ford for the 3 trucks that he says were approved by the council and purchased last year. In this year's budget, though, the financing line item for the trucks was eliminated. The council insists they were not aware of the more than $100,000 in outstanding debt to Ford. Gooden says that's not true.
They knew they had a debt. They knew they had a debt. There's nobody out here that's going to be silly enough to make them think that they didn't. They had a debt. They didn't pay that debt. And now it's evolved into this, and now they're trying to do what they can do to try to save their backsides.
In an effort to avoid repossession, the council approved a plan to refinance the 3 trucks through a local bank, ensuring they're no longer in debt with Ford. All but one council member, John Collins, voted to approve that option. Final approval still needs to go through the county commissioner. A second horse owner now is trying to get Churchill Downs to overturn its suspension of Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert. Owner Diane Bashir says her horse Imagination has earned enough points to qualify for the Derby, but is not allowed to run because Baffert trained it. Zaydan Racing Stables also suing to get their horse Muth, the winner of the Arkansas Derby, which Baffert also trained, into the Derby starting gate. Both horse owners argue Baffert is a big part of why their horses even had a chance to qualify for the Derby. Churchill Downs argues if the judge overturns the Baffert ban, up to 3 horses could push other qualifiers out. The next hearing in the case is scheduled for today, and the judge has said he expects to issue a written statement by the end of this week. Nearly 200 new laws will soon be on the books as Kentucky lawmakers head home after this year's legislative session. Kentucky Republicans say the session was very productive, and they celebrated some bills dealing with criminal justice, human trafficking prevention, tax cuts, and approving a new 2-year state budget. Democrats say the GOP majority ignored the needs of families and children.
Governor Beshear asked us to be good neighbors. Instead, this extreme GOP caucus continues to pursue a radical and out of touch and often cruel agenda.
Knowing that 2 years from now, for the 4th time, Republicans will have led the way to yet another tax cut, I believe is one of the biggest and best stories coming out of this legislature. Because of the conservative management and fiscal discipline we showed during the budget process.
More than 140 bills were signed into law by Governor Beshear. 18 became law without his signature, and 24 vetoes were overridden. LMPD and the Addie and Baylor Foundation joined forces to help give more children the gift of reading. It's a story that's positively waved. Students at Big Elementary School got to choose 3 books to take home thanks to the Addie and Baylor Kirch-Gessner Foundation. 6-year-old Addie and 4-year-old Baylor were on family vacation in Panama City Beach when a car hit the children as they were playing putt-putt, and it killed them. Now the parents started this foundation in honor of the children, and since then they have given over 56,000 books to children across Louisville, Southern Indiana, and Panama City Beach. They're also huge contributors to the Imagination Library of Louisville, which Wave News helped start in our area. Well, the Kentucky Derby, about horses, and of course, it's about fashion, and this year Churchill Downs is highlighting 150 years of track trends in their first ever style guide. This guide pays homage to over a century of iconic looks. The guide, which you can find online and also in book form, showcases decades of trends and how we have modernized Derby fashion. Tanya Abelin is Churchill Downs' Vice President of Corporate Communications, and she talked to us about the dress she has on, and she said it's a kind of a retro silhouette, and it looks like the garland of roses. Outfits like hers that pull in the traditions of the track are the reasons why Churchill Downs created the guide. The guide shows how different eras used color, patterns, and hats. For Derby 150, Derby officials are hoping that people maybe will use that guide and revisit the past. If you'd like to see it, we do have a link for you on wave3.com. Okay, we're getting closer to Derby, knowing what the weather is going to be like for that.
Yeah, we'll be getting that soon, showing up on our 10-day. But at least for right now, we're going to be focused in on the warm weather back for this afternoon with highs in the 80s yet again. I'll let you know when we may struggle to get out of the 50s for highs after the break.
Germantown, they have a lot of terrific restaurants to check out, and you can do that tomorrow night at the Eat, Drink Germantown event. And Josh Ninke has been at the Bean this morning showing us some of the great places that you can sample. And how many years have they done this, or is this the inaugural year?
This is the inaugural year, Shannon. It should be a lot of fun. Lots of great places all under one roof. I've got John with the Greater Germantown folks who are putting this together. So, John, for folks who are coming to check this out, what all kinds of stuff can they enjoy here?
So a little bit of everything. We kind of like to think of the neighborhoods around Germantown as kind of a little small town in the city. Yeah. Anything you want. Pizza, barbecue, nice drinks, good beer. You can kind of find it all inside of Germantown. But we thought, what would happen if you took all of Germantown and put it in one building for one night only? That's going to be the experience of Eat, Drink Germantown. So a little bit of barbecue, a little bit of pizza, a little bit of cocktails, a little bit of beer, a little bit of everything.
Nice. And mentioning the cocktails, there's also kind of a fun little competition going on for the Germantown cocktail. What's that going to be about?
Yeah, it must have been late into a meeting at some point, but we started wondering as part of this, what would it look like if you took Germantown, we like to say the grit and glamour of Germantown, and turned it into cocktail form? Yeah. So we have 8 different bars and restaurants around who decided to take on that challenge. They each made their own version of it, totally different. And then there will be People's Choice voting that's live now and will be going on up until 9 o'clock on the day of the event to pick the official Germantown cocktail of 2024.
I've seen you going around to these different places on social media and trying them. How have they been?
All have been excellent. Thank you to Campari. They helped us make this possible, the whole event actually. So the only rule is that they had to include Campari or Aperol as an ingredient. So it was super fun to see how creative everybody got, just based around that only one criteria.
We've only got a few seconds left, but tell folks where this is happening, what all they need to do to get tickets, that kind of stuff.
April 18th, which is tomorrow night, 6 to 10 at the Germantown Gables, which is on the corner of Kentucky and Swan, GreaterGermantown.com.
Fantastic. And of course, we'll put all that information for you at wave3.com, so you can go ahead and get those tickets and check out all this. Should be a lot of fun. More than 20 different restaurants and bars for you to check out. Again, all under one roof. Should be a great time. Live here in Germantown. Josh Ninke, Wave News.
Thank you so much. Okay, how does a 4-day work week sound? Nearly a third of large U.S. companies are considering that, and it's to help combat burnout, recruit more people, retain them. There's a newly released KPMG survey of CEOs that was just done, and the schedules being considered are 4 or 4.5-day work weeks, and the findings show executives have been looking for ways to attract and retain talent in what is a competitive job market right now. A lot of employees say they feel overworked, underpaid, but it's still in the experimentation phase. But there was another study that said 77% of workers would see a 4-day work week. What about a 4-day weekend, okay? A 4-day work week would be a really great thing.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think that really enhances your work-life balance if you're able to do that. Because a lot of people, you're working hard, don't always get to see your family. So.
Right, and especially with our mobile devices, you work more.
Exactly. You're still working when you're not working.
Exactly.
So, hey, for those of you doing that today, I'll let you know when we'll have some beautiful outdoor weather showing up in just 30 seconds. Good morning, meteorologist Juana Andrew here with a check of your forecast and what we're going to be keeping an eye on. Some rounds of rain moving through our region right now. We do have a front that's off towards our west, but that's going to take its time before it ever moves through. The main thing we have to focus on for today, the warm front to the north, because that's going to bring more of that southerly and southwesterly flow across the area, helping to push our temperatures up again for this afternoon. Drying out right now for those of you in southern Indiana, but we are seeing a little bit of rain still holding on. Some spotty, very light showers showing up in Scott County and also into Clark County. For those of you a little bit further to the east in Kentucky, from Carrollton all the way down towards Eminence and even into portions of Oldham County, seeing some pockets of heavy rain indicated by the yellows and oranges on your screen right now. As we head further to the east and south, we see some more of that rain through portions of Shelby County, a little bit heavier right now in the Simpsonville area. Most of the metro dry, but still seeing a little bit of rain still holding on in portions of Middletown and the very eastern part parts of Fern Creek. For those of you in Spencer County, south through Bardstown, all the way into LaRue County, you're seeing some pockets of heavier rain, but most of it is moderate rain at this point. Speaking of Bardstown, what we're seeing right now, the clouds overhead, but some peaks of blue sky already showing up in between it all. And now that we're starting to dry out, the wind is starting to pick up. Seeing some of these gusts right now at 25 miles per hour in Louisville. And we're going to keep that trend going once we head into the afternoon. As you see more of that sunshine coming our way through the late morning and the afternoon hours, the wind is going to pick up even more with some of these gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour. For those of you with allergies, I'm going to give you that heads up right now. This wind is going to be blowing all of that pollen around and going to make for a little bit more of a difficult day. Also, for those of you who deal with barometric pressure headaches or migraines, today is one of those days where you may be suffering from that too. So just your heads up right there. Your temperatures are sitting mainly in the 60s right now. One exception to that, Columbia currently at 70 degrees. The showers that we're dealing with right now will scoot on off towards the east as we head through the 7-8 o'clock hour, leaving us drier for the beginning of our afternoon. And most of us will stay dry through the afternoon hours as temperatures climb into the 80s for your highs. The thing we have to watch for this afternoon, even though most of us just going to be sunny, dry with the wind across the area, will be the potential for an isolated thunderstorm. Anything that does try to pop, as we do have that cold front moving through later on this afternoon into the evening hours, could become on the stronger side. But it does look like the majority of our area going to stay dry through the second half of the day. But just in case we get one of those isolated thunderstorms that becomes strong, we still have that marginal risk of severe weather in place with damaging winds and some hail going to be the main threat. But that main severe threat is off towards our east and northeast. For tonight, clear skies as we tumble down into the 50s and the low 60s. Looking ahead to tomorrow, what we'll be dealing with, dry conditions for most of the day. But notice we still have that rain chance there for your Thursday into Friday. So Thursday night after sunset is when those rain chances really start to ramp up across wave country. So we'll watch for that. Most of your Thursday featuring a mix of sun and clouds, those highs in the 80s, most of the daytime hours just fine. Then we head into Thursday night, especially after 8, 9 o'clock. Here comes these thunderstorms barreling into wave country, some of which could be strong to severe. Going to keep that threat around into early Friday morning, and we'll gradually dry out as Friday morning goes along. Now, we're all outlooked with some sort of severe threat for Thursday night into Friday. Most of us a marginal risk level 1 out of 5. But for those of you further to the west of 65, we do have that slight risk. We all need to pay attention to the damaging wind and maybe even a small hail threat for that Thursday night into Friday morning time frame. Saturday looking pretty good for those of you heading to Thunder over Louisville. Going to be talking about highs in the 60s for the air show, so not looking too bad for that. And then as we head into the fireworks show and the drone show, 40s then. Looking ahead to the rest of your 10-day, it's cooler on Sunday with a mix of sun and clouds, and we'll warm back into the upper 60s and low 70s for the next work weeks. A decent stretch of dry weather coming our way, Shannon.
Okay, thanks, Tawana. Some Nelson County school parents are showing support for their superintendent, Wes Bradley. The State Board of Education previously rejected the county's effort to remove Bradley as superintendent. The State Board of Education said school members did not have competent evidence to remove him, and the relationship with the two has been dysfunctional. Parents spoke about how they need to come together and focus on the students. The district's next board meeting will be May 14th at Bloomfield Middle School. This month is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Norton continues to work towards helping children all over the state. Norton Children's will open a statewide center for child abuse victims today. It's at the Home of the Innocents on East Market Street near Baxter Avenue. They plan to serve thousands of patients across Kentucky and southern Indiana. Doctors, nurses, social workers will all be a part of the staffing. It opens this morning at 10. Here's Olivia taking a look at the big stories we're following today from around the country and the world.
The United States is expected to impose new sanctions on Iran. It comes after that missile strike against Israel over the weekend. The sanctions are expected to be against Iran's missile and drone program, with the goal to contain and degrade Iran's military capacity and effectiveness. Iran's president, though, called the attack over the weekend limited and punitive. The bodies found on Sunday in Oklahoma have been identified as the two Kansas women who went missing last month. 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jillian Kelly have been missing since March 30th when they drove to Oklahoma to pick up Butler's children in Kansas, but never arrived. Last week, Oklahoma police announced that 4 people were arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. All 4 of those suspects are scheduled to make their initial court appearances today. And Google is cracking down on third-party apps that block YouTube ads. The international technology company announced viewers who are using third-party apps may experience buffering issues. Users may also see an error message saying, quote, "The following content is not available on this app" when you're trying to watch a video. Google noted that buying a YouTube Premium may be the only way to escape ads, or else you could be like the rest of us and just have to sit through them. Those are some of your top headlines. Shannon will have more local news coming up in your Wake Up Watch list.
6:53, taking a look at the stories we're following in your Wake Up Watch list. A man's been charged after police say he called them to say he's been involved in a crash, and 1 woman died. Police say Juan Munoz Alcala was a driver who hit and killed Jennifer Davis, who was riding a bike on Preston Highway and Durrett Lane Tuesday morning. Arrest documents suggest he called police saying that he thought he hit a shopping cart at a nearby gas station. He's set to be arraigned this morning on charges including murder and DUI. A new contract for LMPD officers will be discussed this morning by city officials. They'll talk about the new collective bargaining agreements between the city and FOP. The 4-year deal would increase pay across the department and create new accountability measures for officers to follow. We've reported on several instances of empty homes or properties going up in flames across Louisville this year. Now, Louisville's fire department will announce a new pilot program to address this. The announcement is set for this afternoon at 1:15. And today we're hearing from Indiana officials about how they're getting ready for thunder over Louisville. Jeffersonville Police will hold a briefing at their headquarters today talking about safety plans, road closures, answering questions. We will be there. It's happening at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So thunder's happening on Saturday. And here is Tawana taking a look at the forecast.
And what we're seeing right now across the area, some clouds still overhead looking into Bardstown, seeing the wet roads as you're still dealing with some showers in that area. More of the rain that we're dealing with right now is mainly across Kentucky. As we head throughout the next hour to 2 hours, the rain will exit, sitting in the 60s to start off the day. And with this wind gusting between 30 and 40 miles per hour through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon, we're easily going to climb all the way into the 80s for your highs later on today, keeping an eye on an isolated rain chance for the afternoon. Much more of us, well, let me get these words out, much more of us will see plenty of sunshine and dry and warm conditions for the second half of the day. Looking ahead to the 10-day, we'll see some more rain Thursday night into Friday morning, so we'll watch for that. And the weather for thunder over Louisville right now, looking pretty good with temperatures in the 60s.
And taking a look at traffic this morning, everything looking all right despite all that rain that came down earlier this morning. Just 1 stalled vehicle on 65 South. Other than that, really nothing much to report here. And if you take a look at some of your traffic cameras there, you can see not too many cars out there at 7 o'clock this morning, but those roads still wet. And you can even see 64 at the junction. Earlier, I pointed it out. It looked completely gray. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Tawana said that was all the rain coming down. I didn't realize it was coming out that heavy there.
Yeah. Wow, but now it cleared out. So I'm glad everything is looking much better for thunder over Louisville. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the good thing right there.
I know. Today's show's up next. They have a lot of the Olympics in Paris to talk about.
Get live streaming news, 24-hour weather, investigations,